anomaly tonight where both the chair and the vice chair are absent. According to the rules adopted by the Planning and Zoning Commission, the remainder of the quorum who's here gets to nominate, pass second, to see who serves as the acting chair. So that's going to be your first order of business.
I nominate Mary Starr.
Second.
So there's a motion, there's a second. All in favor?
I'm voting.
It looks like 4 to all opposed. It looks like 4 to 1. I'm sorry, it looked like 4 to 0 with Mary abstaining. And with that, Ms. Starr, I would pass it to you to do a roll call and then walk through the agenda.
Okay, the roll call. Everyone is here with the exception of the chairman, Daniel Tenston, and the vice chair, Thomas Duncan. The consent agenda, we have A, which is consideration and possible action approval of minutes and excused absences. Excuse the absence of P&Z Commissioner Troy Pradia from the March 18th meeting, and I don't see the minutes. Are they not here?
No, ma'am, there are no minutes.
Okay. Thank you.
We need a motion.
I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move for approval of consent agenda.
Okay. I heard Ron with the motion, and then I thought Troy had the second.
Yeah. Does anyone have anything that they want to remove from the consent agenda? All on. Okay. We need to vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 5 to 0. Move on to new business. Consideration and possible action. Final plat of the 4th amending plat of Shadow Creek Town Center, Plat 19-00001. Request of Mark Pirano, Terra survey on behalf of Brazoria County Municipal Utility District Number 35. Owner to approve the final plat of the 4th amending plat of Shadow Creek Town Center, creating 7 lots and 3 reserve lots on 133.41 acres. The general location is the north side of Broadway at Business Center Drive. Is there a motion? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Staff report.
So before we get too far into the staff report, I will be recusing myself from this item as I, per my AICP ethics, I have a personal relation with the developer, and I have been completely hands-off on this whole project. So Vince will be preparing, or will handle the whole portion of it.
This item is located in the BP 288 Business Park, General Commercial, and WCF Planned Development zoning districts, located on the north side of Broadway at Business Center Drive. Staff is recommending approval of the final plat of the 4th amending plat of Shadow Creek Town Center based on the criteria of approval found in section 3.1.5.4 addressing final plats. This next slide shows the area that's covered by the 4th amending plat of the Shadow Creek Town Center. And basically, it is including an area that is zoned BP 288, where the green dot is. Currently, that property is unplatted. However, the Planning and Zoning Commission this past fall has approved variances and a preliminary plat that will incorporate this property within the overall framework of what will be the final plat of the fourth amending plat of Shadow Creek Town Center. This is a map of the fourth amending plat of the Shadow Creek Town Center. This is the new property shown by the green dot. It is the property in which a variance had been approved that would allow the creation of a flag lot that will have two extensions connecting this property to Business Center Drive. And then the preliminary plat reconfigured some lots in this area where some detention basins will be. And then the rest of the area is in the area that will be included in the plat vacation item that will be the next item on the agenda. However, we do want to note one minor concern. There is lot 3 shown on the final plat. However, staff feels that this is a issue that could be corrected at a later date as an amending plat, just correcting a Scribner's error. Because on the plat vacation, there are 2 lots that are both labeled as Lot C. So it does match what is existing properties out at that location. And that concludes my presentation.
Anyone have any discussion?
I'd like to call to the Planning and Zoning Commission's attention that originally when this came in, one of the reasons why we had to have both the fourth amending plat and the vacation plat at the same time, at the same place, on the same meeting, is with the corresponding plat vacation, actually that, because Vince might be able to show it a little bit better where the detention pond is there, that is actually a reserve, and it's reserved for detention purposes, and we're changing that reserve. That's what allowed the flag lots there. And then they're also kind of changing the shape of that detention pond. And to remove a restriction, you have to have a plat vacation. So, but we can't just, have a plat vacation and leave us without lots. So you have to have on the concurrently at the same meeting at the same time. You have to have the amending plat that replaces the plat that was being vacated. So those 2 things are done in tandem. Although the agenda doesn't say it for the amending plat or for the vacating plat, it doesn't show it as a public hearing. You do need to accept public comments on these items. If there's anybody here to speak for them, I would ask the acting chair to call for them to stand up to the podium and say so. And then after getting any additional testimony, you can take the action you deem to be appropriate. But staff is recommending both approval of both items.
I also have a slide in my presentation for the plat vacation that shows how the property is currently platted if you wish to see that now.
Yeah, let's take a look at it.
This is the property that is currently platted, and the property where the detention areas are located is located in the northwestern portion of the plat, and these will be divided into 3 separate reserves, and there will be 2 areas connecting the new lot that will be created by this plat that will run through what is now 1 detention reserve.
Have any further comments? Is there anyone in the public that would like to make a statement at this time? Since I see no one out there, we'll just continue as though no one is making one. Does the commission have anything to add? Yeah.
I think I understand basically what we're doing here, but it poses some interesting questions for me. This whole this whole plat is pretty much already developed.
Yes, sir, that's the case.
It has, I presume, deed restrictions and that sort of thing that are part of the record with the county.
I don't recall if there are deed restrictions. I believe so because for the longest time, a good portion of the property was owned by one property owner. And I know that for that site, they had deed restrictions. But I don't know if there are separate deed restrictions for each of those lots. I can say that the entire plat boundaries are located inside, is it two different municipal utility districts? Does planning staff recall?
I just recall one municipal.
I know that the pond itself is owned by Municipal Utility District 35, and I believe it's also inside Pearland Management District Number 2, PMMD 2. Does that sound right? So there are several different rules governing over this, and
Well, my question would be, when you vacate a plat, I don't know that I've ever, like I say, I've ever been involved in anything like that. What happens to the deed restriction?
because there's the amending plat that's coming right after it, we're carrying over all the plat notes. All the plat owners have signed off. All the people who are subject to the plat have signed on the plat application, the plat vacation, and the new plat. So if there's something out there and they didn't think that it was right, I would expect them to be here tonight to say, we think that's inappropriate.
Right.
I don't think that there's a deed restriction that's universal to all the property owners that are subject to these two plats, though.
Okay.
I think that they're individual. Like I know that the AmREIT property has its deed restrictions. I can't remember if the HEB was part of that or not, but Memorial Hermann is an owner out there. I don't believe they're subject to the same deed restrictions, but they do have different business arrangements regarding universal maintenance of the majority of the area.
Okay, and this would be, the plat would be, do you have to file a vacated plat and then file a new plat with the county?
Yes, sir. So
Okay.
it is a concurrent issue. We can't vacate the plat without having the new plat on the same agenda. So
Okay.
This slide that's up on the screen and also this next slide are all areas that are included in the final plat that's before you now for consideration. But these two slides also represent the plats that will be vacated on the next item on the agenda.
Are there any other questions? Comments? Are you ready to vote? Call for the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passes 5-0. Consideration, possible action, plat vacation, second amending plat of Shadow Creek Town Center and amending plat number 3 of Shadow Creek Town Center 18-00153. Request of Mark Pirano, Terra survey on behalf of Brazoria County Municipal Utility District number 35, owner, and is the general location north side of Broadway at Business Center Drive. Staff have any more report?
On this item,
excuse me, before asking for staff report, we want to have a motion and a second on the table.
Sorry. We have a motion and a second. Now I have a staff report.
okay, this item again is located on the north side of Broadway at Business Center Drive. And this will be vacating 6 lots and 1 reserve on 123.441 acres. Again, staff is recommending approval of the plat vacation of the second amending plat of Shadow Creek Town Center and amending plat number 3 of Shadow Creek Town Center per section 3.1.7.5A, which requires of the approval of the new plat, which is the final plat that was approved on the previous item. And it includes 3 conditions. The first one is already met, that the final plat of the 4th amending plat of Shadow Creek Town Center be approved. And also the next 2 items under the conditions states that the 4th amending plat of Shadow Creek Town Center will supersede the 2nd amending plat of Shadow Creek Town Center, and it will also supersede the amending plat number 3 of Shadow Creek Town Center. And this next slide shows the areas outlined in blue is the area that is where the 2 plats will be abandoned. And of course, it does not include the area zone BP 288, which was part of the final plat that was just approved. These next 2 slides show the 2 plats that are being abandoned. This plat vacation of the second amending plat of Shadow Creek Town Center, it currently has 2 lot Cs that are on the current recorded plat. And this is the amending plat number 3 of Shadow Creek Town Center. And I did prepare 2 slides that basically show the difference in the areas covered by item A and item B. That concludes my staff presentation.
Are there any questions from the commission?
And again, as this is a vacating plat, it requires an opportunity for anybody in the audience to speak on the item either for or against.
Would anyone in the audience like to speak on this item? Would anyone in the audience like to speak for or against this item? For the 3rd and final time, would anyone in the audience like to speak for or against this plat? If not, we will proceed. Any other comments from anyone? Staff have any further requests?
No, ma'am.
Are you all ready to vote? All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5-0. The next item on the agenda is discussion items. And first one is Commissioner's Activity Report. Does anyone have anything? If not, we'll move on to the next one, discussion of the UDC Committee Report. And the staff fill us in on that.
Sure thing. Since we have a limited commission on hand, I will give you all the opportunity. I can run through the report today, or we can run through it when we have more people here. It would be postponed to, it would have to be the first meeting in May, as I won't be here for the April 15th.
Daryl, okay. That's okay. We can postpone it until the first meeting in May.
Or John should be here for the April 15th meeting, and y'all could hear it directly from him since it is his report. But I don't want to. It'll be one of the 2 of those dates.
Okay.
Since this wasn't an action item, you don't have to have a motion second or postpone it. It was just trying to be as efficient as possible with the details.
Okay, the next regular meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission is April the 15th. And if that's no further business, we will adjourn at, I don't know, I don't have a 6:50.